Daniel writes in, what did WWE do with the Shield that they did not do with the Nexus? What key factors made them more popular than the Nexus? Everything. Everything they did. It's just incredible to me to think back to the heat that the Nexus had when they first hit the scene. That big angle they did on Raw where they attacked John Cena, they tore up the ring. I mean, there were a lot of people who said this is just like the NWO in '96 when they invaded. This is like a modern-day version of the NWO. This is going to be so cool. This is going to be so awesome. And it was for a while. They would come out. They would beat people up, not unlike the Shield. They would beat up the Legends. Unfortunately, they beat up Ricky Steamboat a little too much, and that was not good. But it was going well for a while. And then came SummerSlam and the big 10-man tag, which John Cena won. And even after the fact, Cena admitted he made a mistake going over in that match. That was the story that Jericho, or I think it was Edge, told that story on Jericho's podcast. That's how John Cena felt after the fact. He realized it was probably a mistake for that match to go that way. And they tried to salvage it. The Nexus didn't go away right away. They even had Wade Barrett beat John Cena in a singles match. Cena became the Nexus slave. It was over at that point. It was done. It was finished. They missed the boat. And with the Shield, the biggest difference of all is from day one, when the Shield came in, the Shield were booked as serious threats to the roster. They were never beaten. They always, or almost always, had the upper hand. It was a long, long, long time before the Shield lost their first match, and I still remember what that match was. It was on an episode of SmackDown last, maybe May. I don't remember the exact month. But I remember the episode of SmackDown when the Shield lost. It was a 6-man tag. I want to say it was against Bryan and Orton and maybe Kane. I don't really remember. But they made a big deal about it. The fans were going crazy. The announcers made a point to mention it. You know, if you build something up long enough and you protect guys the way they should be protected, and you don't beat them like a drum, and you don't make them look like fools, it's amazing how guys can get over. Reigns, Rollins, and Ambrose from day one have been protected. Now, there was a period of time when they first lost. They went on and they lost a little too much, I thought. It was like, okay, now that they lost, we can just beat them every week. And that I didn't agree with that. But that aside, for the most part, the Shield has been booked better than any other trio in the history of WWE. The Shield has been booked better than any other new guys that have been brought up to the main roster, I think, at any point in the history of that company. It's unbelievable to me, as many other careers as they've ruined, as many other start and stop pushes as guys have had, be it Ziggler or whoever, that these guys have somehow managed to avoid all of that, and they, for the most part, like 95%, have been booked perfectly. And look at them now. They're huge stars. They've been around now for a long time, well over a year and a half, and these guys are in the same position in that everybody looks at them and knows these are main eventers. These are future main eventers. Roman Reigns is going to be a main eventer. Seth Rollins can be a main eventer. Dean Ambrose can be a main eventer. Nobody's looking at these guys as damaged goods, like they did pretty much every member of the Nexus, I think, when that angle was over. And even Barrett hasn't quite recovered since then either. Only now is he finally starting to find his footing, and maybe they're finally taking this Bad News Barrett character in a direction where he might actually get over. And it only took him finally getting in the ring and wrestling for that to happen. How many fucking months did I crow on my podcast? Please, put this guy in the ring. Let him wrestle. Let him do, let him show what he's got and kick some ass, and maybe he'll actually get over. It wasn't that I hated the Bad News gimmick. He did it on the JBL and Cole show and was very entertaining with it. It was just that he would come out every single week and he would do comedy, scripted comedy that wasn't fucking funny. And he was not getting in the ring and backing it up, and it was just going nowhere. Only when they put him in the ring, finally, is he now starting to get over. But for a long time, Wade Barrett was just this lost soul on the main roster, and they did nothing with him. They put the Intercontinental title on him, and it made matters worse. Which is why, if I'm Barrett, I should be a little bit worried if I end up winning this tournament and beating Big E at the pay-per-view like I think you will. But the point is, they protected the Shield. They protected the Shield more than any other guys I can ever remember them promoting up. And you see the end result here. You see what happened to the Nexus. They didn't last very long. And you see the Shield is still around. The Shield is not only still around, but they were clearly building to a breakup of the Shield like by WrestleMania. I have no doubt the plan was to break up the Shield by WrestleMania. But they got over so huge, especially in that feud with the Wyatts, and the fans started turning in their favor, and they became big baby faces, where it just became obvious, why the hell are we going to break these guys up now? Let's just run with this. Let's run with the momentum they have, and, you know, even if it's just another 3 months, 6 months, maybe they go another year before they break these guys up. You didn't have that with the Nexus. You had a lot of people shaking their heads. You don't have that with the Shield. That's the difference between protecting guys and not protecting them.